All right, welcome back to Health Foods to Avoid. And the next big fake health food we're going to talk about that you want to avoid as much as possible because it has absolutely no place whatsoever in the human diet, and that is any food that says sugar-free, diet, low-calorie, or light on the label, because 9 times out of 10, that food is going to be sweetened with a toxic artificial sweetener. And the reason these foods have become so popular and so common today is because people are finally waking up to the fact that we get way too much sugar in the diet. So people are looking for healthier alternatives that are going to help them lose weight and just feel better overall. But tragically, so many people have really been tricked into thinking that drinking something like a diet soda is going to somehow be less fattening and healthier than drinking a high fructose corn syrup soda. And as bad as this is for you, the regular sugar-filled soda, for most people, the diet sugar-free soda or diet sugar-free products in general are going to be worse than the regular sugar. So we're going to talk about why that is, but the sugar or the sweetener we're going to focus on the most is aspartame, because aspartame is one of the most popular artificial sweeteners out there, and it's got the scariest, nastiest list of side effects. And it's in over 6,000 food products today. Some people say up to 9,000 to 10,000 food products, but whatever the number is, it's a lot. And by far, where people get the most aspartame is in the diet sodas. Most of the diet sodas are going to use aspartame as their sweetener, but it's in a lot of other things too, like sugar-free gum and sugar-free mints. What about sugar-free Jell-O? Anything that says sugar-free or light on the label, like the famous Crystal Light, big time source of aspartame. Activia, very popular yogurt now for probiotics, but this actually has aspartame and 2 other artificial sweeteners, so definitely needs to be avoided. This one, you just scratch your head and say, why? Why would you put aspartame in a children's chewable multivitamin? So aspartame's in a lot of things. In fact, I have a list with more things: instant breakfasts, cocoa mixes, coffee beverages, frozen desserts, laxatives, pharmaceuticals, protein shakes and protein bars, especially when they're geared for losing weight. It's very likely they'll have aspartame. Tabletop sweeteners, this would be your NutraSweet and Equal. Tea beverages, instant teas and coffees, topping mixes, wine coolers, and much more. It's in so many things out there, but especially anything that says sugar-free or diet. So what's the big deal about aspartame? Why do you want to avoid that at all costs? Well, you need to know that aspartame has more reported side effects to the FDA and other organizations than any other food additive on the market. There's more side effects with aspartame every year than anything else that's been approved by the FDA. Why is that? Well, aspartame is a neurotoxin. That means it's a chemical that's toxic to the nervous system. So when you ingest a neurotoxin, there is a big list of side effects that can occur from that. The number one most common side effect, headaches. It could be migraine headaches, any type of chronic headaches can be tied in with aspartame toxicity. So that's definitely the most common. I've got a list with more because it's too many to remember. Dizziness, confusion, memory loss, decreased vision, any type of visual disturbance can be caused by aspartame toxicity. Seizures, and this can be in people that have never had seizures before, and for people that do have seizures, aspartame can increase the frequency and severity of those seizures. Depression, irritability, anxiety attacks, severe drowsiness, personality changes, palpitations or tachycardia, tingling of the fingers, convulsion, nausea, insomnia, tinnitus, ringing of the ears, diarrhea, excessive thirst, slurring of speech, and joint pains. And again, headaches is the most common on that list of side effects. Well, what's in aspartame to make it do this to our nervous system? Well, aspartame is made of 3 ingredients: aspartic acid, phenylenedione, and methanol. Now, the first 2 are the main ingredients: aspartic acid and phenylenedione. And those are just amino acids. They're naturally found in food. And that's what the defenders of aspartame are always quick to point out, is that those 2 amino acids we would get in food every single day. And that's true. But when you chemically manipulate those 2 amino acids to be found in high amounts in the aspartame, we get much more phenylenedione and aspartic acid than we would ever get in the diet. And when you get high amounts of those amino acids, what's going to happen is it's going to have a very exciting, stimulating effect on brain cells. They're actually called excitotoxins. There's a whole book written about this topic by a neurosurgeon, Russell Blaylock. He wrote a whole book about why aspartic acid from aspartame in monosodium glutamate, MSG, actually can kill brain cells because they can literally excite them to death. So this is very well researched. If you want to get into why aspartic acid and phenylalanine are so toxic to the nervous system, this is the book that outlines all that. But why aspartame can be so controversial is because a lot of people don't have the sudden headaches. They don't get the confusion. They don't get the seizures or the visual changes. They have absolutely no side effects with it, or no noticeable side effects. And that's because a lot of people can very effectively metabolize aspartic acid and phenylalanine. But the third ingredient of aspartame is what is toxic to everyone, and that is methanol. Methanol is a very potent, well-recognized toxin, and the EPA has said that the maximum amount that humans can have at a safe level is 7.8 milligrams. That's about the amount you would get in a small diet soda like this, or if it was a full-size soda, that would exceed the amount of allowable methanol by the EPA. Now, those of you that have an aspartame problem or know somebody that drinks a lot of diet sodas know most people aren't just drinking a small soda. You can drink a lot of soda, diet soda, in one day. And it's a highly addictive substance. So that's why very few people are just drinking small amounts of aspartame. So if you're a big diet soda drinker, every single day, you're getting toxic levels of methanol. Well, what's so bad about methanol? Methanol is an alcohol that's actually more poisonous than the alcohol that's in beer, wine, other alcoholic beverages. In one of the breakdown metabolism products of methanol in your body is formaldehyde. Yes, formaldehyde, what you use to embalm people with. So very nasty, nasty stuff, and people are getting a lot of it if they're drinking the diet sodas every single day. Formaldehyde can be very damaging to the eyes, especially the retina. That's one big problem, but it's also classified as a carcinogen, especially for breast cancer and prostate cancer. So whether it's the aspartic acid or phenylalanine or the methanol, you're going to get a toxin if you're doing a aspartame-filled product on a regular basis. Now, you may be asking yourself at this point, how did aspartame ever get approved by the FDA? And that's a very good question. If you like conspiracy theories or conspiracy facts, you're going to love the story about how aspartame got cleared by the FDA. And I put a link to the video. If you want to dig into all that dirt, you can find out all the shady business of how aspartame got snuck through, really, into our food supply. But the biggest thing to know about that is in the early 1980s, when the FDA was deciding, whether to approve aspartame, the toxicologist, the main toxicologist for the FDA, recommended that it not be approved. The pathologist and neuroscientist on the advisory board, the public advisory board that was giving advice to the FDA about whether to approve aspartame, said, don't approve this. And the reason they were so concerned about aspartame is because of the very high number of brain tumors in the animals that were being studied with aspartame. But the head of the FDA decided to approve it anyway in 1983, and so we are permanently stuck with the wonderful gift of aspartame. So there's no shortage of data about the toxicity of it. There's been over 900 published studies about the dangers of aspartame. There's been over 20 different articles written in aviation journals warning pilots about the effects of aspartame on vision, on seizures, on memory loss, confusion, all these terrible side effects, especially for your pilot to have. You don't want your pilot to have any of those side effects if they're flying you. In 1992, the Air Force issued a warning to pilots telling them the same thing. Confusion, seizures, memory loss, headaches, avoid aspartame. And there's even been a hotline set up for pilots to report side effects, and over 600 pilots have reported side effects to this number, and a lot of them have reported having seizures in the cockpit because of aspartame. This is really nasty, nasty stuff. Well, besides all of the brain toxicity side effects of aspartame, there's a really ironic one, and that is weight gain. And people, again, are drinking this because they think it's going to help them lose weight. But aspartame has actually been found to increase weight gain, to increase obesity, and there's several big reasons for that. Number one, the high amounts of phenylalanine and aspartic acid will stimulate insulin from the pancreas. And we've been talking in the other videos about how high levels of insulin tell your body to store fat. It is the fat storage hormone. But there's something even worse about it. The high levels of phenylalanine, the more phenylalanine that gets in the brain, the lower your serotonin is going to go. And you know how important serotonin is just to feel good, to feel calm. When you have low levels of serotonin, that's where a lot of these side effects of depression, anxiety, mood swings, personality changes can come into play. But when your serotonin drops really low, you're going to crave carbohydrates because carbohydrates are nature's mood elevator. They help get serotonin back up to normal levels. So the lower your serotonin levels go with aspartame, the more sugar and carbs you're going to crave. So let's put it this way. This is an easier way to remember it. Drinking this, the high fructose corn syrup soda, is just going to make you fat. It's fattening in and of itself. Drinking this is going to make you crave foods like this. So it's a vicious cycle. This stuff makes you fat. This stuff makes you crave foods that make you fat. So either way you lose if you're trying to lose weight. So that's the ironic side effect with aspartame. But whether it's the neurological side effects, the methanol toxicity, the phenylalanine, the aspartic acid toxicity, there are so many reasons to avoid aspartame. There's nothing good that you can say about this product. And it's really a tragedy that it ever got approved. So aspartame is by far the most important sweetener to avoid. But there's some other ones that you want to avoid. And as more and more people have become aware of the toxicities of aspartame, there's a lot of other sweeteners that are being marketed as being safer. And probably the biggest sweetener out there, the number 2 sweetener, is Splenda, also known as sucralose. And you're finding this in more products now, especially sugar-free candies, a lot of cereals that are marketed as being, weight loss promoting. But what you see it in a lot, more and more, is low-calorie waters that are like sports drinks. This is one everybody will recognize, the Gatorade, the low-calorie Gatorade. So Gatorade is bad either way, kind of like the sodas. The regular Gatorade is loaded with high fructose corn syrup that's going to be fattening. The low-calorie Gatorade is going to have the Splenda in it. And Splenda, or sucralose, has also been found to lead to weight gain. Look at this one, V8. We saw in the last video that one of the V8 juices had a lot of high fructose corn syrup. The one that says light, remember we're supposed to avoid anything that says light, this one has a lot of Splenda, sucralose. Well, what's the big deal about Splenda? It's much, much better, in my opinion, than the aspartame. Anything is better than aspartame. But there's some big concerns with Splenda. And the biggest is that Splenda is sugar that's bound to chlorine, a chlorine atom. And when that's bound to chlorine, it becomes too big for the majority of it to be absorbed in your digestive tract. That's how it's promoted as being a low-calorie, low-sugar food. It is sugar, but it's got chlorine, so it's harder to be absorbed. But you do absorb about 15% of that chlorine molecule into your bloodstream. And there's some big toxicity products with chlorine. But the biggest well-known concern is that the more chlorine you get in your body, whether it's from chlorinated water, swimming pools, or Splenda products, is it's going to destroy a lot of your good, friendly bacteria or your probiotics in your digestive tract. And these bacteria are critical for so many different functions: digestion, immune system health, being able to lose weight. That's been proven in the last 5 years. So the more of the Splenda products you take in, the more good, friendly bacteria you're going to destroy in your digestive tract. And this has been verified with studies recently. So here's what I would say. If you're going to do something with Splenda in it, it is so critical that you take a good probiotic supplement to replace the good bacteria that you're going to kill off by eating a lot of the Splenda products. We'd mentioned cereals. Remember this one from our whole grain video? We talked about how cereals can be so deceptive. This one has high fructose corn syrup, but it's also got Splenda. So you get 2 bad sweeteners in a cereal that's being promoted as helping you to lose weight. So again, anything that says diet, sugar-free, light, low-calorie, 9 times out of 10, it's going to have some bad sweetener, artificial sweetener added to it. Now, the good news is there are some safe, sugar-free, low-calorie sweeteners out there, and the best by far, the safest, is going to be stevia. And what should really make you angry is that stevia, the safest of the low-calorie, sugar-free sweeteners, was the one that was banned by the FDA for over 20 years. They were blocking it from being used in any of our low-calorie or sugar-free products. This stuff got a free pass. Stevia, the safe one, got banned. But now it's finally being allowed in some of these food products. So if you're trying to get off of the diet sodas, one of the best products out there to help you wean off of it is the Zevia brand soda. Zevia is one of the few, it's the only one I know of at this time that's sweetened with stevia. So much, much safer. This is a great way, if you're addicted to regular soda or the diet sodas, this is a great way to wean off of it. Really tastes good, and it comes in root beer, orange flavor, lemon lime, orange soda, a lot of different options with this, so definitely check that out. We mentioned stevia as a sweetener by itself. I like the Sweet Leaf brand because this one comes in a powder and in the liquid that you can use to make lemonade, put it in beverages, put it in your protein drinks, your fruit smoothies. You can put the stevia in plain yogurt. And again, this is a much safer, great tasting sweetener. You only need a little bit. It's much sweeter than sugar, so just use a little. Don't use too much of that. Xylitol is another good one. And in fact, if you are using these sugar-free gums, you really need to find a sugar-free gum or breath mint that's sweetened with xylitol. You can go to the health food store, and there's a lot of different options with that. So again, just to recap everything about these diet, sugar-free, low-calorie foods, aspartame is the worst of the worst. Anything is better than aspartame, but even the Splenda, which has kind of become the number 2 or second most popular sweetener, you want to avoid that one, again, because it destroys good bacteria in the gut. But the aspartame is the one that at all costs you have to get off of completely. Now, aspartame, because it's excitotoxin, it's very addictive. So a lot of people have withdrawal symptoms. It's very hard for some people to get off. If you have to wean off of it gradually, that's fine. As long as it takes, however long it takes, it's worth doing it. There's so many toxins that we don't have control over being exposed to. Aspartame is one that you have control to say no to, that you don't have to fill your body with. So I hope this information has been helpful for you, and we're going to see you next time for one more health food to avoid.